Hey guys, welcome. We're going to take a look at another short video about the Industrial Revolution. And what we're going to cover in here, child labor. It was happening during the Industrial Revolution. Children, for the most part, did not go to school, they went to work. Overcrowded cities, that was a horrible problem. There weren't any laws yet. Pollution. And then with all these bad things, we're going to look at reform laws stopping child labor, unions helping to protect workers. And a lot of the photographs I got for this are from a famous book called How the Other Half Lives, whoops, and written by Jacob Riis. And the big thing is it was the photos, the power of the photograph of these situations. People read this and demanded change. Here's an example of one of the covers, How the Other Half Lives. Okay, you got the industrial city, all these houses crowded in, and then up here you have the little illustration of the kids sleeping. Why were so many people moving to the cities? Because there were jobs there, factories. And if you look, they employed children. These kids weren't in school, they were in the factory working. This kid's too poor to even afford shoes. Okay? Right here, the power for the machines coming from the roof, all these threads. This is, in the textile industry, very dangerous. Effects of the Industrial Revolution. To end this child labor, eventually labor unions are formed where workers come together, they organize, and they fight to improve pay and the working conditions. They wanted a shorter workday. That's where we get the 8-hour workday from. And they wanted a living wage. That's where we get the ideas of minimum wage from these labor unions. Where were people living? In overcrowded cities. Here's a famous photograph just basically showing buildings really close to each other, people all over the place, laundry hanging everywhere, barrels of garbage over here, um, just people hanging out, overcrowded in the cities. Next, here's a map of where Jacob Riis was, and he surveyed and collected material for his book. This is, around the New York City area. Okay, showing all the buildings and the streets. This is where he shot these photographs from. Inside some of the houses, it wasn't uncommon for people just to rent one room and people would be crowded in. Here are the workers, they're just sleeping anywhere. They've got a wood burning stove here, very dangerous. Maybe somebody's possessions up here, a bag of their stuff. This guy's got his items hanging basically from the wall, and the people are packed in, very overcrowded. Lot of germs and stuff. Bed bugs ran rampant, spreading disease. Here's an illustration of the back of a tenement building or overcrowded area. If a fire happened, it would spread everywhere. Some of the effects, these bad working conditions, led for workers in factories. They wanted these dangerous conditions to end. They wanted the long hours and low pay to end. Young children were frequently hired and abused in these factories. So there's a lot of bad working conditions. Children right here exhausted, living on the streets. They have no place to go. Parents couldn't afford kids, so they kicked them out. Inside, somebody's house, people are still crowded together. This guy is mending his clothes. This guy is busy looking out the window. But, this is the example, just a whole family crowded into one area. Here's another example of the overcrowding. Just one room, everybody's living in it. They got just the beds here. Some people probably end up sleeping on the floor. The whole family renting only one room and all their possessions. So you guys could pause this slide. You can take a look at it, but eventually governments would pass legislation to set a minimum wage and to end child labor. Okay. Unions would help with this when workers organize, because unions would go on strike to sort of end these evils of industrial revolution. Here's another photograph. Everybody's sleeping around the stove, and they have just broken up wood to burn in the stove in the winter. Here's another photograph of inside a factory. You've got young kids working in the textile industry. There's that picture again with the children working. Now here are the miners. These kids were miners, not going to school, but digging up coal. Here's the overcrowded homes and houses. Here's a picture inside the mines of miners working dangerously underground, drilling in holes to blast the coal out. more children minors.